Bitcoin is trading at $101,000. It is Monday, it is June 23rd. And actually yesterday, on Sunday, we dipped below 100,000. So we're right back above it, but it is not looking great due to, obviously, the technicals, but the news isn't helping either of what's going on in the Middle East and the conflict there and the potential for that to escalate. So let's dive into the charts. Let me share with you what I'm seeing so that you have better levels to watch, and hopefully it can help you make good decisions so that you can make and keep more money. So look, before we get into the charts, I think it's important to understand for you that you can make money whether the markets go up or whether they go down. But you need to have an understanding of how the price moves. That's why I make these videos constantly. If you're not subscribed yet, if you're not following my page, subscribe down below, because I make these for free and I explain how this price action works. Because if you have a better understanding of what is likely to happen next, nobody sees the future, but based on how certain price behaves, a certain outcome becomes more likely. So that's what I'm going to explain here. If you know that the likely outcome is that it's going to go higher, then you can buy, or you can take a long position with leverage. Or if the charts are showing that the probabilities favor the downside, well, then you can de-risk your spot positions, or you can hedge, or you can just even short with leverage and make money off that downside move. That is what all of this is about. And in my opinion, and I think a lot of people who trade based on technicals will say the same, everything is around the charts. Okay, and sure, we're aware of like news and macro stuff happening, but you can't really base any sort of strategy around that. We don't know what is going to happen, who's going to get involved in the next conflict, when the conflict is going to be resolved, when it's going to escalate. We don't know any of that stuff. But the charts, they paint a different picture, and they can warn us because there's only so much that the price can do, right? It can only go up, down, or sideways, and there's only a certain amount of patterns and behaviors that can take place on the charts. And when you can identify those, you increase your probabilities of understanding where the chart is going next, and then you can use that to make money. By the way, if you need an exchange to trade futures on to long and short, personally, I love Bluefin Exchange. I use it myself. Use the link in my description down below. If you sign up with that, it's a free account, but you can get the maximum amount of bonuses every single month. I'm giving away big prizes together with Bluefin because the more of us that trade on Bluefin through my link, the more I can organize. So 2 iPhones this month, $1,500 each. So that's $3,000 we're giving away. We've got a competition going on where we're giving away more than $10,000 in prizes and so on and so forth. So if you want to trade and you need a great place to do it and get cashback campaigns and bonuses, use the link in my description down below to create a free account. Okay, so this is the weekly chart. And very simple, you can see, and I like to keep it simple. We have the 50-week moving average here in blue. We have the RSI, the relative strength index over here. And you can see there is a very clear copy of the pattern of the 2021 top. So you can see here, this is what we had at the top of 2021, November 2021. So we had an initial peak here in May. We dropped back to the 50-week moving average, had a scam pump up. Right, and a lot of people actually attribute this to FTX and the whole scandal that was going on there. This was a whole scam pump, but regardless, it went just above the previous high, made a deviation, and then dropped back below. And this is where we're at right now. So this is something that traps a lot of people because it's made new all-time highs, and everybody who doesn't understand the prices, and even those who do if they get trapped in it, literally start to think, oh, it's a breakout, we're going to new all-time highs, it's going to continue, we're going to $100,000 last cycle, and then it drops back below. That is the issue. So the breakout above is promising, but when you get a breakout and a drop back below, that is often a deviation, especially when it's combined with a lower RSI here. So this is RSI divergence. You can see the RSI made a lower high compared to a higher high on the price. On the weekly time frame, that is usually almost always a warning of either a pretty significant pullback in the near future or a complete trend reversal, as it was the case in the last cycle. So we are seeing that exact same thing right now. You can see here, we had this high that we made in December, where we went just over $100,000. We dropped back to the 50-week moving average in the same way we did in 2021. We got a higher high but it dropped back below it. This is a deviation in every single way, in the same way here that the RSI is now also lower. So, in my opinion, this is just bearish, and I think we are going lower. Now, like I said earlier, nobody knows the future. Nobody knows for sure what is going to happen. So you need to have invalidation levels, and it's all about probability. So in my opinion, this now favors the probability that we are going to continue lower. But in case that is not the outcome, we need an invalidation level. And that invalidation level, in my opinion, I would say if we get back about $108,000 at this point in time with a weekly close, well, then we can start to consider the bullish continuation scenario. Okay, so you never really know, but it's probabilities and which scenario is the more favorite at this point in time, and then you can take bets based on that. So if we get back above, say, 108,000, we can start to consider a move to new all-time highs and bullish continuation. Until then, though, I'm just thinking this is just the same as what happened in the top of the last cycle. Okay, so that could very well also mean that the complete cycle top is in, and that we're in for a much longer and deeper bear market. But we can't call that yet 100%. We look at the deviation. For now, the probability favors lower. Then what we would need to do is we would need to figure out only if a bear market comes at this point. When we lose the 50-week moving average, that is when we get confirmation that the trend is probably bearish for a much longer period of time. Okay, so this is how it works. Nobody can tell you, oh, the top is in for sure. We'll only get that confirmation later. But we are getting the warning signs. We're seeing the deviation. And that means, for now, the probability favors more downside until we get back above 108. And if we don't get above 108, then we're just going to continue lower. It's that simple. So, at this point in time, obviously it's already not the top. I have warned about this for the last several weeks already. I said sell and may go away. I said the top I think is in because of these RSI divergences that we're forming. But it's still at $101,000. So let's just say if this is going to be a bear market and we are going to drop to $50,000 or $40,000 or $30,000 over the next 1 or 2 years, okay, make that assumption in case of this scenario, then getting out at 100 is still a lot better than writing it down all the way to 50. Okay, and of course you have to consider your tax implications and your overall strategy and how much you have invested and whether you're trading or all that kind of stuff. So this is not specifically about you must sell. There's only one right way. There's obviously multiple strategies. But like I said, if you're seeing this right now and that is indeed going to play out, then you have these other options of, well, maybe you can hedge. Right? Maybe you can take an equal short. Let's say you have one Bitcoin in spot, $100,000 risk allocation. Well, maybe you can take one Bitcoin short position, maybe a 5x or a 10x leverage. Obviously, you need the right entry point, and that way you're hedged. Or maybe you want to put more of an allocation towards a short that you actually also profit and not just hedge in case it drops more. All right, so my financial advisor, I think he wants to be on the camera. This is the mastermind behind all the trades that are executed, and I think he's feeling bearish. You feeling bearish, bro? Huh? No? You want to get away? Ah! Okay. So that's what we're looking at in terms of the charts, and then obviously the news that's happening. There's obviously all the conflict over the past week that started happening since June 13th, right? The last 10 days. And that still has potential to escalate. What happens if this turns into more of a war? What happens if they're going to close the strait and block all the shipping routes? Like, there's so much more potential here that could cause these markets to drop a lot more. But then, a lot of people that don't understand the charts, they're going to be like, oh, it's because of the conflict that the markets are dropping. The charts are already showing it. The charts show the way, and then the news comes out. It always works this way somehow, right? So I'm showing you the charts here, and then if for whatever reason conflict escalates and all financial markets drop, it's not going to be a surprise to anyone who understands these charts because it is already showing the high time frame bearish divergences, which has an outcome or a probability to lead to lower. Okay, so this was maybe a bit technical, but I hope educational for anyone who's watching this. Basically, if you want to know where it's going, I think it's going lower. Until we get back above 108,000, then I'm willing to change and kind of adopt the possibility of more bullish upside first. But until then, we're downside. And again, this comes down to trading. So it's not about, oh, you have to be right all the time. Okay, you can trade and you can switch your position like this, right? So if I'm short, which I am from 110,000 and on Ethereum from 2,800, right? And shared this in VIP in my Discord, which by the way, I'll be opening up again later this week on June 28th. I'm going to do a short reopening for anyone who wants to join. But look, if you're short here, you can write it down. You can close those shorts at any time and you can flip long again also. That's the beauty of trading. And you can have long-term spot positions or long-term swing trades, but you can also take multiple trades in different directions even at the same time. You can be long on spot and you can be holding Bitcoin until retirement, but you can be shorting it as a hedge or even more to make profits from the downside. There's so many different strategies. But I think overall, in terms of the direction, this is what we're looking at. And obviously, I don't have to tell you that if Bitcoin has topped and it is going down like it did last cycle and we're going into a bear market, alts are completely wrecked. There's going to be no alt season. It's all going to go way down. We've seen the cycle also. There's been so much scam, so much vaporware. Who even trusts any of these altcoin projects? Like the vast majority is either a complete scam, a fraud, complete garbage, or even the ones that do have some sort of vision, they have no adoption and they're probably going to run out of money. So there is a very, 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 very tiny amount of actual legit tokens and projects, and the rest is probably all going to trend to zero. And that means if Bitcoin is going lower, and a lot of these altcoins, if you think they're low, they can still drop another 90% from their current levels. So you have to be very careful with your strategy, how you're allocated. If your only strategy is to be fully allocated to altcoins and pray for a pump, like what all the bulls and the fake influencers are telling you on social media, oh, it's bullish, oh, we're going to get an alt season, oh, we're going to pump. If your strategy is listening to those people and putting all your money into altcoins and hoping you're going to get a pump and get rich, you're probably going to get wrecked, right? Like, first of all, most of these influencers, especially the ones with big followings, have no idea how to actually trade and how price action works. They're working on the engagement. They just say anything. They're bullish because everyone wants to be bullish. They feed you the bullish hopium. There's no consequence for them being wrong. And they're happy to lead all their followers to the slaughter. And just because they have a lot of followers and they talk with absolute confidence, they get all these people to follow them, but they have no clue what they're doing. The majority of them anyway, right? So it's like the saying goes, the people who are confident appear intelligent because they say things with absolute certainty regardless if they're wrong or not. And intelligent people who know what they're doing, they will not say things with 100% certainty, and that is then interpreted by the masses as doubt, which makes them seem not intelligent. But anyone who knows what they're doing, like, I will never say with 100% certainty where anything is going. And then that might be interpreted as, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. No, it's because nobody literally knows. But there are triggers. If the price does this, then that probability becomes more likely. And all of that kind of stuff, I can say with certainty. But again, this is why I have like 30,000 followers on YouTube after doing this for many years. And other people who are like, oh, this coin is going to the moon. I'm 100% sure you're going to get giga rich. You're going to get mega rich if you hold altcoins. Those people, they have 1 million followers and they are always wrong, right? So if you want to make money, you know what to do. If you don't want to make money, go and follow those people who have no clue what they're doing if you want that bullish hopium. So look, this is what it is, but it doesn't mean there's no money to be made. Even if we go into a bear market, I welcome it. I love it. Shorting markets and trading markets, if you know how to read these prices, is so much more enjoyable. The prices, the price action is so much more clear. It respects levels very quickly, and the downside plays out a lot quicker than the upside most of the time, right? It's taking the stairs up during the bull market. It takes a long time, and then the elevator down. So once the bull market is over and the bad news starts hitting, the buying stops, the selling starts, things can drop very, very quickly, which means if you're shorting and you know how to do that, you're making a lot of money in a very short period of time. And then you can accumulate that money, increase your risk capital, and once the markets get to the bottom of the bear market, that's when you can load up again and enjoy the bull market with your spot bags and continue trading. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a bit more technical. It was a bit more educational. A lot of this stuff I'm continuing to share on a daily basis inside my VIP Discord. I will be opening the doors to new members. If you want to join, keep an eye out. June 28th, I will send an email. If you're on my email list, I'll probably put out a video too. And come join us there, because that's literally where I share all the plays in real time, the shorts, the longs, the market analysis, and all that stuff. Let me know in the comments what you think about these markets. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? Is it a bull market? Is it a bear market? Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.